by and large, my inspiration comes from the world around me, and specifically the natural world and all that means. That could be outer space, it could be astrophysics, it could be, the planets, or it could be my backyard. For me, that's the fun part of my job, is finding ways of kind of surprising readers, making them think a little differently about subjects that they might take for granted. Hello, I'm author, illustrator Peter Brown, and I've written and illustrated many children's books, including The Curious Garden, Children Make Terrible Pets, Mr. Tiger Goes Wild. I illustrated 2 books by Aaron Reynolds. One's called Creepy Carrots, and the other one's called Creepy Pair of Underwear. And most recently, I've started writing and illustrating chapter books, starting with The Wild Robot, and then the sequel, The Wild Robot Escapes. I think there's a connection for me between science and creativity. I mean, the funny thing about science is it's often thought of as like the opposite of creativity, but that's really not true at all. It takes a lot of creativity to come up with the right questions and the answers to those questions in the scientific realm, You have to, oftentimes scientists have to take a real creative leap as they're trying to come up with experiments to test a hypothesis, My writing process is basically a series of questions that I ask myself. All of my stories end up being kind of like a thought experiment. What would happen if a boy was really committed to gardening in his gray, dreary city? How would that play out, and how would the city change as a result of that? What would happen if a very proper tiger suddenly decided to start acting more like a real tiger in the wilderness, What would happen if a robot found itself stranded in the wilderness? How would a robot react to the wilderness? So in one way or the other, all of my ideas begin with asking myself questions. I probably should give a little credit to my dad, who's a scientist and a physicist and an engineer, and his whole career has been about asking questions and finding answers. So I think I was raised with that attitude of, asking questions and then trying to figure out what the answers are one way or another.